What is good, everybody, and welcome back to Nova Drift. It's the Gaudy Jackal. We're going to continue. So the last run, I made a complete hames of everything. I was a little bit tired, and that's kind of no excuse though anyway. Either way, I'm pretty ready to get back into it. I'm not going to change any of these. I'm pretty happy with everything except for practice mode. And I am going to take it easy on myself and be nice. I'm just back from work, so I'm a little bit tired. And I'm going to do a vortex run if one wants to spawn. Vortex. Sick. I am extremely exhausted from a really busy day at work. This is much too loud. Oh my god. That was hard. I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to go with stealth. There's been some stealth changes. The 20% weapon damage after I break my cloak. And the 20% self-damage resistance was something that was already on it, but it's quite nice to have now. So hopefully we should maybe not blow ourselves up quite as easily as we did last time. The time ages ago when we were playing. And also what's great now, if you'll notice, when we hit an enemy with this, it does it says how much burning damage they're taking. And that's honestly phenomenal. I'm really happy with that. It's such a nice change. And it makes it easier to tell how much damage is being dealt with this weapon. It's just really nice. So, I'm not kind of sure what shield I want to go with. And before I get into any of the rest of it, if you have any feedback with regards to, say, how my voice sounds, if you'd like me to be a little bit louder or the game a little bit quieter, any major changes that you'd suggest to the format of the series, more uploads, anything to that effect, let me know. Pop a comment in the comment section and I'll get on it. Pretty small time, so I'm really happy to make changes and improve as much as possible. And if I ever get big time, of course, I'm pretty happy to do the same thing again. Either way, I'm thinking that maybe we'll just go with Halo again, although I could mix it up a small bit and take temporal. There have been some temporal changes just with regards to bosses, and it's apparently supposed to scale better, but I'm kind of feel like I just like immense amounts of burning damage, and that'd be pretty cool. Also, I am not used to how fast stealth is. I have so much control over my ship. This is great. So yeah, I've had a bit of a stressful day at work altogether. I'm not going to comment too much on what's happening with my upgrades. I'm kind of just going to be mindlessly picking the things that I think I like the most. And it's not going to be a great deal different from the last Vortex build. Kind of just finding this kind of cathartic, so I just kind of want to chat, you know? But I found out recently that the place that I work at, so I work a retail job, which is obviously nothing major, but you know, you got to pay the bills. And the shop that I work at is closing in the end of June, which is a pretty big deal, as you can imagine. But the thing is, it was only hired a few months ago, and it's difficult, as you can imagine. It puts everybody who's working there in a weird situation, and obviously nobody likes it. But at the same time, it does have that kind of a maybe I shouldn't have been hired if this was gonna be the situation. And yet, I was hired, and now the shop is closing, and there isn't a great deal that anyone can do about it. Unfortunately, the retail unit was sold to somebody else, and they want to repurpose it for a different kind of shop, and it's just a bit shit, honestly. It puts me and everyone else who works there in a bit of a weird position where you're I would like to leave and maybe do something a bit different, but at the same time, now I have to go and look for a different job when I just got this one. And when you can imagine how kind of shitty it is, and since I'm still relatively new and I'm only part-time, I'm not sure how that's going to affect with maybe a redundancy payout or those kind of things. And it's also a weird thing to even have to think about in your 20s, because obviously being made redundant is not the cataclysmic life-altering change when you're in your 20s and you're just kind of changing around jobs anyway for the most part. But at the same time, it just is still kind of shit. I took velocity there, and that was a mistake because I don't want this thing moving any faster. So it's a bit unfortunate. But that's what happens when you're kind of mindlessly clicking away. And it got me thinking about how, I don't know, it feels a bit shit. And I'm not too mad, because it's also quite nice. And I'm a big fan of the idea, at least, of working in a place and just, working out your notice, you know? That kind of, what are you going to do, fire me? And that's a nice feeling. I am hoping that I get a chance to work on the very last day, because it would be really fun to just be able to take the absolute piss. So what I do for the most part, definitely going to take charge shot, is I work in an Apple licensed retailer, and we sell Apple licensed things. It's pretty straightforward, as well as repair shop and all the bits and pieces. So it's like super above board and none of that third-party nonsense and all that jazz. And it's expensive, like it's definitely expensive. And the close affiliations of Apple attract some really, really odd customers. We unlocked adaptive armor last time, which grants me damage resistance all the time. And the later aspects of it are things like rebuke, which grant me, like, force off my, what are they called? Armor stacks that I'll be getting through adaptive armor when I fire, and I fire really infrequently, so this is a really good option. I'm really happy to be able to take it now. You get some really, really weird customers, people who are really unhappy with Apple as a company, and feel as though giving that information to me is going to change anything, and it's not. And of course it isn't, because why would it? And yet, that doesn't change anything. It's strange. This is rebuke here. So I'm going to take this. I get 110% armor stack duration, which is nice, and they deal blast damage for every other armor stack, and when I fire, they fire outwards. You might notice it a couple times over the course of the run, but I'm not going to be taking this run too seriously. I did pretty bad in the last one, and it showed that, you know, going a little bit of a while, and it had been a week or so since I played Nova Drift, and then jumping right back into the moderately intense difficulty that is... Ooh, core shielding, self-damage resistance, oh yes. Jumping into the moderately difficult run that is drone run, it requires a lot of thinking. Was maybe not the best choice for myself. And so I have no intention of doing that this time around. But still, it's really, really terrible, and there's like consultation meetings, and it's kind of odd. So I'm not sure how I feel about it. And even just working there now, because like I did like it, it's fun. I get to help a lot of people with a lot of different problems, and a lot of... Primarily, I suppose, what I get is a lot of elderly people. Those are the rebuke stacks there. I help deal with a lot of elderly people, people in their 40s and 50s, and older again as well, who understand very little about things like iCloud and Apple IDs, email in general as well, and they're not at fault for that, I don't feel. It's an extremely, like, almost sometimes overly complicated system that I'm 100% sympathetic towards them for not grasping in any way, because it is so, so difficult. And now it's weird, because the city that I work in doesn't have a shop like that, aside from us, really, where they can just kind of go in for tech support, and all the staff are really friendly and more than happy to help. And I'm not saying that we're providing, like, an irreplaceable service. I just feel weird thinking about the idea that, you know, if you're stuck, if you're in a situation where, like, let's say your tablet isn't working and it's something small, like it needs to be reset, or it's stuck in split screen, or any number of various issues that could crop up by merit of using a machine that you don't know how it works, and it's strange and different and nothing that you've ever dealt with before in your entire life. And anybody that you talk to, like kids or potentially like someone from a support site, they're not that helpful. It doesn't help either in that situation that a person in that place with that lack of understanding doesn't know how to use a forum. They don't know how to search through for their issues. And so while it's easy for me, it's easy for a lot of, I suppose, us, my generation, and even the generation after me, again, it's difficult and it feels really unfair. And so, I don't know, I just feel a bit weird about it, you know? Like, it's not a great deal of the time that you get to do something that's reasonable. It's not like retail is the most charitable thing when you think about it, but also get to give a little bit back, even if the thing that you're giving back is effectively just like organized, manufactured discontent by merit of capitalism as a difficult thing, and the like over reliance on technology requiring your personal data and a form of login under the guise of security. It's weird, and at the same time, like, it makes sense, but it's and so I feel a bit shitty. I feel a bit shitty on behalf of some of the old people that are going to get stuck, and even some of the younger people, because honestly, like, half of the people that we get that don't know their iCloud passwords and stuff are people in their 20s, and you're like, come on, how... You set this up when you set up the phone. Did you not think that it was maybe going to be important to remember it? Like, you have to type it in every single time you download an app. Do you honestly... Could you not consider that maybe it would be important for you to remember this? And you're not like 50, you're not 60. This isn't new to you. You've been working with technology for as long as I have. It's not strange. So yeah, it's weird. It's a really, really odd situation. But it like, I mean, there's a massive bright side on it. You know, when I sell a MacBook to somebody on my last day, I can just, if I really, really want to, I can yeet it straight across the floor to them. And like, what are the place going to do? Fire me? Come on, be real. And I think that's really cool. I'm really happy about that. I'm not going to do that, obviously, but at the same time, it's nice. And also, I don't know, maybe I'll be able to work out some form of like redundancy settlement with a small amount of money, or maybe some mildly free or heavily discounted stock, because we sell these really cool bags that I've been a really big fan of for a while, and they're also like kind of expensive. It's like €75 for a bag, and that's some like Macklemore thrift shop level absolute shit, you know, like $50 for a t-shirt, etc, etc. So I'm not particularly interested. I don't want to kill this guy right now, not just yet, because I want to save the experience for after the singularity is destroyed. Yeah, it's some like Macklemore thrift shop that's $50 for a t-shirt level shit, and I don't feel like I want to pay €75 for a bag. So if I could get that for free as a goodwill gesture from the company for making us redundant and losing our jobs, I'd be pretty happy. Like, I wouldn't mind. I'm going to say that. I'm obviously not going to get like the new iPhone XS Max or XR. This is dating the video for those of you who are inevitably watching my content years down the line, because, you know, I'll just be immensely famous. And it's a shame. It is. I'm a bit disappointed. Just a bit weirded out. Feel a bit strange. But I've kind of harped on enough about all of that stuff. I'm pretty happy to get back to more of where we are in the run. I've taken a lot of stuff and not really commented on most of it. And I'm okay with that, because we've seen a bit of Vortex already. And honestly, once you get past the educational aspect of it, if you call it educational, if you call anything that I do educational, once I get past the informative aspect of it, and more towards just like continuous runs and like achievement hunting and all those different bits and pieces, I'm not going to be commenting on the run the entire time. Something has got to give. Something's got to give. So I'm pretty happy to just kind of ramble away. And the more episodes go on, as long as by very, very small but apparently mildly dedicated viewer base. I joke, but at the same time, I'm getting like a moderate amount of views, and I'm so happy about it. It's really, really great. Do I take emergency systems or do I take shield cooldown? I'm going to take emergency systems. Yeah, like, I mean, a couple of people watch me, and I got a comment on one of my videos saying that person was really, really happy with my content, and it makes me really happy. If you're watching now, thank you for continuing to watch. It's so great. I'm so pleased, and I love seeing that was so much damage. I need to not die while I'm thanking someone for watching me do things. And I'm really excited to do more of Nova Drift. There was a new patch, which I read through the patch notes for a little bit, definitely a little bit off the cuff and not quite a scripted video. And I don't know, I'm not a massive fan of scripting things anyway. I feel like just giving my own honest personal thoughts on it is what I'm pretty happy with. But I feel like as more future patches come out and more things change, I'd like to do, once I get a few more builds out of the way and get a little bit better at the game as well, I'd like to do spotlights on the different patch things, just so that we could look at, say, and it is a Wii. I'd like to potentially look at, say, for example, there was the fact that there was the drone changes and also the self-damage reductions, as well as some of the super mod changes for like Apotheosis and Warp Strike, and being able to like look at those specifically in the next couple of videos and do some showcases in the follow-up from them would be pretty fun, I think. I could die here if I'm not extremely careful. Maybe I should take a bit more survivability. I feel like I have a lot of damage. I should, definitely. Yeah, it would be really, really fun to just do spotlights on the various mod changes that happen and some of the specific mods that come out, as well as new enemies, and focus them down as I'm learning more and more about the game. Like the last time, from the patch notes, I learned that the giant ring that we fought is Skion, and that's really cool. Skion? I'm never 100% sure how to say that. My first introduction, I suppose, to the word Skion was Final Fantasy XII. Purification, sick. Where the Espers, if anyone remembers Final Fantasy XII at all, the Espers were marked in your... God, what was it called? It wasn't a codex. It wasn't a logbook. You had a bestiary, that's the word I'm looking for. were marked down in your bestiary as scions of the gods? Scions of the gods? And I never really knew what it meant for a long time, and then... Or rather, sorry, like scions of light and dark and all those various bits and pieces. The other elements that are typically found in JRPGs. For example, the element of extremely over-designed character arcs. It's one of the primary elements of JRPGs, of course. And I didn't know how to pronounce it, like, at all. 1,200 damage per second. I'm sorry. What? I guess he was in, like, my Deadly Wake trail, and probably in my shield at the same time, but that is not okay. Let's get this in there. Ooh, so many explosions. This build is going well. Like I was saying ages ago, the fact that I honestly think this weapon is one of the most powerful in the game, it is probably the most powerful in the game. Force armor. Hull damage resistance is pretty good, and it gives me crash knockback resistance and crash damage, which I don't really need, but I don't really want reflexive shields either. And Omni Shield is something I definitely don't want because that will just kill me. Flash shielding is bad. I'm just going to reroll here. I will probably just take Purge. Yeah, I never really knew how to say it. Final Fantasy XII, honestly, one of my favorite Final Fantasy games. Probably the first one I played, and also the last one I played when they released the remaster, the Zodiac Age, I think it was. Really selling how it was the last game I played there. It was the last Final Fantasy I played. I think the last game I played recently has been... The last new game is Sekiro. Great game, by the way. Really enjoying it. And other than that, The World Ends With You, which I referenced in my last video. But even that's still an old game. A very old boy. Really, really fun, but still an old game. Can I just crash into him and deal big damage here? I don't know if that did damage, or if it just kind of did damage in a non-existent radius, because there's nothing else there to take the damage, so... Either way, these fights are going well. Yeah, and I've been enjoying all of them. And of course, I mean, there's the fiasco, debacle, shenanigans that is Anthem, but like, let's not go there because that's political. Or rather controversial. I don't want to die. Sick. You know, maybe Purge isn't so bad. Another upgrade. No, I don't really want to take drones for this run. I'm just going to take Force Armor, kick it out of the pool. Where am I? There I am. Oh, please don't kill me. And I guess I'll take Shield Effect Radius. Yeah. Just a bit more of a burn aura, honestly. Those have been pretty fun, honestly, and of course Nova Drift, which I'm enjoying a great deal. But yeah, my last Final Fantasy was Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, and that was fun. I tried to play it once ages ago when I was a teenager, and like a very young teenager, and a friend of mine had... I don't think it's called Homebrew, because I'm pretty sure Homebrew is exclusively for Nintendo consoles, but effectively Homebrew. Was it Gecko at the time? I don't remember. And I'm probably just not going to remember the more I think about it, but effectively a homebrew PlayStation 2 where you could download ROMs and then burn them onto DVD-Rs, and then... Or was it that you could only... Yeah, you could only burn them onto DVD-Rs. And play them like that, and I played like a few bits and pieces like Yu-Gi-Oh! Duelist of the Roses, and... Ooh, the big one was Final Fantasy 12, the Zodiac Age, but there were some other changes that were made to the international release as well that changed around some bits and pieces. But at the time it wasn't called Final Fantasy 12 Zodiac Age, because the Final Fantasy games used to release with an international edition, which was weird considering that it was always... The international edition was only released in Japan. So I'm not 100% sure on what the point of that was, but there were like some really big changes, and the job system is completely different, and I was really interested at the time, because obviously if you haven't played Final Fantasy 12, it doesn't have the traditional Final Fantasy, older Final Fantasy that is, job system that it did. Instead you just can multi-class into anything that you want through like a license board. It was kind of weird. And volatile shields, sure. Oh, I'm gonna die here. And the idea of, weirdly enough, restricting that was really interesting to me. And especially because I had so much fun with it. And then I played it again. I played it at the time through that, and I only played a bit of it. And then I went into the Zodiac, the International Edition re-release, which was the Zodiac Age, with a pair of fresh eyes, not quite tainted so much by the fact that I had been playing Final Fantasy XII before, and of course, keeping in mind that, you know, like the graphics and the dialogue and all the different bits and pieces have aged quite substantially, and it turned out it was actually just as hammy as all the rest of the Final Fantasy XIIs, and all the rest of the Final Fantasy XIIs, all the rest of the regular Final Fantasies, and the characters were a bit, not even going to talk about the likes of like the way Vaughn was and Pinello's very mediocre voice acting and everything that is Ash. It was just I don't like any of these at all. I feel like I'm in a situation now where I've kind of like, I guess I could take Discharge. Yeah, why not? Oh, I'm going to take a lot of damage here. Yeah. Sorry, I really needed to focus there. Where am I? Oh, I'm here. Yeah, I really need to focus whenever one of those guys enters the screen. They're absolutely terrifying. Just the amount of burn damage that they do so fast, and how mobile they are makes it so hard to hit them with a weapon like this that's slow firing. And obviously my Deadly Wake is great, but they're just still really scary. Yeah, it was just like, it's a really hammy, and the graphics have not aged well, because obviously Final Fantasy, especially the older Final Fantasies, have that habit of trying to be really realistic. Square Enix being a movie company and all that. And it hasn't done itself any favors. It looks weird, and the character designs in Final Fantasy stuff always looks weird, but it looks really weird. And makes all of how, like, the battle system seems just like, I don't know, I feel like I don't remember it being the way it was, but then, you know, things through the lens of nostalgia are always a bit different, and things are different in their time, you know, and it's well past its time. So yeah, that was my incredibly long tangent relating to Scions. I'm not sure. I should probably look up after this video how to actually pronounce it. Not so much for the sake of the viewer, because well, I mean, given that it's the name of one of the enemies, I'm definitely going to be referencing it a whole bunch of times, but more for myself, you know, just for peace of mind. And we're already on Seraph, so that's really great. I'm pretty happy with that. Ooh, that's gotta be nice. Yeah, it's probably like the most damage I've dealt to him all run. And we're already on Seraph, and by the looks of it, probably gonna breeze right through him. It's nice how much simpler the game seems when you're doing Vortex, and how different the game feels altogether when you're doing different types of runs, as well as having more defensive upgrades, things that I didn't have in previous runs, just makes everything so much easier. The like armor stacks through channeling and then rebuke are great. The healing that I have from Purge. Speaking of which, I should ram you. Oh, I missed. Oh, maybe I shouldn't ram you. I would like if I could maybe get a bit more kind of healing, and I probably want to take, what is it called? It's not reflexive shields. It's completely different. That did so much damage. Hurt him a lot too, though. There's a shield is an upgrade that I would like to get that makes it so that damage applied to my hull is applied to my shields and hull. Is distributed. Sorry, I think all damage taken is distributed evenly between my shields and my hull. Ooh, it's none of these. Is it through Aegis? It is. Yeah, it's through efficiency, so that's fine. And I'm not firing relatively often. Okay, I need to be really careful here, because I could just die again. I'm stealthed. Ooh, that's a lot of damage. Screen wrap. Try not to die. Okay. Get you out of the picture. Move. Fire again. Okay, that didn't go so badly. I'm surprised. A lot of enemies on screen though, and I'm dead. Oh, wave 105, it's not too bad. And they both died to it. That makes me so mad. Oh, that absolutely sucks. we got a few bits and pieces. So we got extra rerolls, which is nice. Helix Shield, which I definitely want to do a video on soon. Or when my shield takes damage, energy is discharged into Helix Orbs, and they orbit you and deal burn damage to enemies on contact. There was a change in the patch notes that made it so Helix Shields, if applied through shielded constructs, now the Helix Orbs are generated on enemies. Or rather, I suppose, on your constructs versus being generated on you. That's quite nice. We haven't unlocked anything else, but as these go on, we're going to look at situations where it's going to take more and more, and oftentimes in runs, we're probably only going to be getting one at a time. Ooh, my initials. I noticed recently that since I've been typing Gaudy Jackal, it just ends up looking like I'm telling myself that I did a good job. It's a nice little pat on the back, but it's also a bit of a slap in the face. Ooh, my average damage was 1,000 per second. That's pretty nice. Where is my railgun one? That's definitely the railgun one, the one that did 3,000 damage per second. Not bad, not bad. Not going to complain about that one too much. So yeah, I'm going to call it there. I've had like a big ramble about work, a big grumble, and that was Nova Drift. If you've got any queries, any feedback about the video, or anything at all, let me know. Throw me a comment, and as usual, like, subscribe, all that. I think next run, maybe I'm going to go for... Ooh... Will I just do Celestial Lance? You know, it's been a while. I think I'm going to do Celestial Lance next build. Tune in next time for a Celestial Lance build that I'm inevitably going to die on repeatedly. Thanks for watching. Bye.